Hello everybody. My name is Kim. I'm a community learning specialist with DoSpace, and welcome to the After School Club Junior Maker. So we are here for ages about 6 to 10 year olds, and we did it this week, and really kind of like, ooh, I'm real close. Sorry about that, friends. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so today we are doing origami. So hopefully you have maybe heard of origami before or have done a little bit of origami. If you've ever made a paper airplane, then you basically have done origami. So that is pretty cool. Let me know if you've done some origami before. Have you heard of origami? Do you know what that is? Hopefully you have, and you've done it before, which is a lot of fun. Basically, origami is the Japanese art form of paper folding. So it was something that was actually developed as early as the 5th century. So that's like, I think it was 5th century. So like, think of the 400s. Long time ago. So long ago. Paper was basically invented in China around the year 105 AD. So in the year, like basically our, basically we're in 2000, so almost 2,000 years ago. And then just a mere 300 years after that, people started making origami into like this amazing art form. So, which is pretty cool. So today, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be starting out something pretty easy, and I think it's pretty fun. Something that I grew up making all the time, and I even realized it was origami. But it's just, I think it's really fun, and people can use it and play with it. Is we are going to be making what I would call, when I grew up, is a fortune teller. I've heard people call them cootie catchers. I think they're fortune tellers. So maybe you've made this before, maybe you haven't. They're really fun. They're really easy. And then like you can make so many of them, and I will show you why that they're called fortune tellers. I think they're called cootie catchers because they open up kind of like little mouths. But you can see how I have colors on the outside. I have some numbers on the inside. And if I had done it correctly, I would have written little fortunes inside, but I didn't do that because it takes time and I just didn't get around to doing it. But yeah, we are going to be making one of these. So they're a lot of fun, really cool, and hopefully you will make quite a few of them. I grew up making these with my friends all the time, and then, it was things, we would write things like, if you, liked somebody, like, you will marry this person, or you will go to jail, or you are going to have tacos tonight for dinner. And so it's like, you can just like put whatever like little fortunes you want in there. After we make one, I will show you how to kind of how I grew up doing them. I know kind of everybody does it their own way and trying to like with the numbers and colors and things like that. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. This is just how I grew up doing it and loving it. So, so we are going to basically start out. I'm actually going to move the camera down so that you can see my paper that we are going to be using today. So let's see if we can get this in a way that isn't terrible. Whoop, too far. Let's see. How does that look for us? I think okay. Okay, so we are going to be needing a square piece of paper. I have this piece of paper is pretty big. This is actually a 12 by 12 piece of paper. It's a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. You can obviously use something smaller. However, just note that sometimes like the smaller it is, the harder it is to kind of fold up. Another trick that one can do is doing this earlier. So another trick one you can do is like you could just use a regular piece of copy paper, and This is basically what I did growing up. I would never really measure. You can absolutely. With this, like with the cootie catcher, it's not as necessary to have like exact folds, I don't think. So if you don't have an exactly square piece of paper, that's okay. Try and get it as square as possible. But something I used to do is I would just take a piece of like copy paper, letter paper, just anything that is your regular like letter size paper, and you would just kind of take one corner and fold it down so that you're trying to like make this opposite edge all the way, you know, at least flush with the opposite side, and so that you're getting as much as you can up like the point at the end is even. It can be kind of tricky. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, that was not a great fold at all. I will try not to get my head in the way, P.S. as I do this. Let's see how I did. I did okay. You can kind of see how my fold wasn't perfectly in the corner. That's okay. So, and then what I would do then next is turn it over. It's kind of origami in itself. And then you can kind of see how we have like our triangle and then a rectangle. Top, we have our rectangle. I would try and just fold this down. And try and make it then, because we're trying to get an edge, the edge of this kind of top part in line with this side of your paper. So let me redo that. So we have our, trying to make it so it's like makes sense to you, and I'm in the center. I need to be in frame. So we have we made it our kind of our triangle, and then we're basically going to try and fold it so we are even with this side of your paper. So I like to do it where it's like I turn it backwards. You kind of fold it down, and you can kind of, it's nice because you can at least like kind of use this edge to line it up with the kind of this bottom edge of the paper, so you know that it's like at least a little bit straight across. And try and make a fold. And I kind of have a little bit of a lip, which is okay, so I'm not going to have a perfect square, but that's okay. And then if you have scissors, you can just cut. I, a lot of times, would kind of just fold back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. Kind of make some creases. And then you can kind of even just like a little bit tear on that crease. I would sometimes even lick it to make it a little bit wet. I have scissors, so I'm just going to cut. It'd probably be better if I had a ruler, like a straight edge but it's going to be good enough for what we're doing today. Okay. So then you have a nice, like pretty decent square sheet of paper. And it's nice because you can do it. So I'm going to use our big paper just because it's a little bit bigger, and I know it's a perfect square, so it will be a little bit easier, but you can obviously see the size difference. This is 12 by 12, our green piece of paper, and this is probably like maybe 9 by 9 inches, all in inches, so 12 by 12 inches, 9 by 9 inches. The one I made with just colored copy paper, so you'll get it. It'll be around this size. I'm going to use the bigger one just because it gives you a little bit more writing space, which will make sense here in a little bit. So I'm going to start out with my green paper. So we are going to be making either a whatever you call it, fortune teller or cootie catcher, whichever one you would like. So I think it's a lot of fun. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to turn it into a triangle, and we're going to do our top corner to our bottom corner. So we have our diamond. So we have this is our, if it's like this, it's a square. We like this is the diamond. So you want to do it so it's like corner to corner. And it looks like my little corner is a bit, I don't know, cut off a little bit, so it's not the best, but do your best. And you need to kind of use the edges. You can Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I also have with me somewhere over here. Here we go. Like a craft stick, or if like you had a knife, something like that. These are nice because then you can kind of use it to make your creases nice and crisp and good, and kind of just like press down more so they're a little bit easier to fold with. And then you're going to open it back up, and then you're going to do the same to the opposite. So we did from this side to this side, now we're going to be doing opposite. Corner to corner. My camera's like opposite, so whenever I move one way, I think I'm moving the right way, but then I'm getting out of frame, and nobody likes out of frameness. Okay. Oops. And then I'm just going to use this guy to crease things off. Okay. And then we're going to open it back up. And you can see that we basically have a nice, like, 4 sections, 4 different triangles, 4 quarters. And then what we're going to do is, now we know where our center is, basically. We have folded in a way that we know where our center is. And we are going to be folding in all 4 corners to the center. And I always found this to be really tricky because if you got it perfectly in the center, then everything should kind of like evenly line up. And I could never do that, I feel like. It'll make more sense. I'm going to turn it. It's like, okay, yeah, this is in the corner. I'm going to make all my... But then sometimes, like, there's a gap. Kind of see a gap. Or they might overlap. I have this gap here, and I'm like, ugh. Something's not perfect, which is okay. We're just going to get them all in the middle. So the last one should just fit nicely in. Not terrible, not terrible. So basically we started out with a square. And now we're in a square again. So so it was like this. We had a square, we folded everything in. We're in a square again. Excellent. Okay. Now we are going to basically do the same thing that we just did. We're going to bring these corners in the middle. And it's nice because when you do that, it's like you kind of know exactly where they should fit in because of the creases that are already there. So we're going to be doing that to all 4 corners again, just going right in the middle so that the corner goes right into the middle of our square. So it's like this. Again, especially with thicker paper or like cardstock like I'm using, this thing is really nice just to get nice kind of good creases. I love those good creases. So you can tell, like, sometimes your fingers, like, especially, like, sometimes with this thick paper, it's just a little bit hard to get, like, be strong enough just to press it down in a nice way. Okay. There we go. Okay. So then, what we're going to do is we are going to turn it over. And we are going to sew. Yes. It's like I have to consult my smaller one. It's been a while since I made one this big. So then, okay, so we folded it in. So we have these like flappy guys, right? But we want to turn it over so we don't have the flappy guys. So we have basically our square into fourths that are triangles. And we're doing the same exact thing. It's a lot of diamond action or diamond triangle action, I feel like. So you kind of put it into a diamond shape. And then again, you fold in. Right? I just did this. I've done it earlier today, and then I was like, I'm going to double check just so I remember. And now I'm like second guessing myself. Now fold in again. Yeah. So now here's where kind of like the creases get even harder because you've folded it so many times, and if like me you're using cardstock, it's thick. So this guy is acting really nicely. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay. Woo. I'm trying to get into the middle as best as we can. You can see that we have these segments, which are going to be important for our fortune telling. I thought it was going to be easier with this bigger paper, but we'll see. Pretty tricky still, I think, because of the cardstock, the thickness. Ooh, which is why this is nice. Okay, so then if you turn it over, you have like these little floppy guys, right? I like to eventually, what I do is where you just fold it, I fold in half. I fold in half like this on each side just to kind of make it easier, because then when you fold it in half, you can see that there's these flaps that open up, and when you do that, that's where you put your fingers. And when you put your thumb and pointer finger into two and kind of like close it, and then the other one, and you close it and bring them all into the middle, boom, you have your cookie catcher, which I think is fun. Sometimes if I did like color, I always like this because then it also kind of looks like a dragon or a lizard. So you can make these for not just cookie catchers or fortune tellers. I'm gonna call them fortune tellers. But like if you wanted to decorate this like it was a dragon or a lizard, like I think it looks like, or a dinosaur, I feel like if you did like this, it kind of looks like the dinosaur from Jurassic Park that like spits the gunk and blinds that guy near the end. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. Maybe that ages me. But yeah, I feel like it looks like that. It kind of looks like a dragon or something. So it's a lot of fun. So this, I'm going to show you how to decorate it, and this is just how I learned. I don't even know who taught me how to do this. I feel like I just organically knew how to do it. And I know that can't be right. I'm sure somebody showed me how to make it. But this is just how somebody showed me. And you can do it any way you want, really. So if you flatten it back out, so where you put your fingers are, obviously we have your squares and fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was always shown, this is where you put your colors. So you're going to have 4 colors, right? You could either, I don't know, do it one of two ways. You could either write the color, and this is a great way to maybe like work on your writing skills if you want to. You could always write the colors, so maybe I will write, I'll do a little bit of both. So I'm going to write blue on one, and then I'm going to do red on another, and then I'm going to do maybe orange, and then I'm going to do green. So then there's one less that I actually have to color in because my paper's already green. So you can either write in the name of the color, or you can actually color in like I did on my orange cootie. So I'm gonna pick out my colors. What colors in orange? so also a good note is to, I mean, not that it really matters, but it's kind of fun when they're different, like the letters are, the words have different number of letters. So this has 4, this has 5, this has 3, this has 6. Not that it's a huge thing, but it'll kind of make sense. So then you can just like color in. It doesn't have to be pretty. You can try and color in the whole square, but I'm just gonna do a little bit like that. There's my blue one. Blue. Whoops. Twirly-magig. Okay, and then red. Red going. And then I could color this green, but it's already green, so why would I color it with markers? So I'm not going to. Okay. So then you have that side ready to go. The next part is to open it up. And so now this side was separated in 2/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1/4, 2/4, or this is half, 3/4, or a whole. So our 2 halves. Then when we go the other way, we are now into 8ths. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now our paper is separated into 8ths. And this is where you put the numbers. So you can see here on my orange one, I have written in numbers. And there's no right or wrong way to what, if you want to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 3, 2, 4, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, whatever you want to do. I don't know why. The way I always did it is I would start with my highest number 1, and then, or sorry, my lowest number 1, and then my highest number 8. And then I would go 2, and then 7, and then 3 and 6, and then 4 and 5. I don't know why. That's just how I did it. Obviously, that's my preference. If you want to arrange the numbers any way you want to, you can. And then what you can do is then each open up one of these, and then you can see that you have a triangle basically. So I have opened up 1 and 8. Basically, I have like, these are halved, right? So then you have basically this entire triangle, basically from here to here to here, to write different, you know, fortunes. And so if, like, say this middle crease is kind of your separator. So for example, if somebody were to choose number 1, and this will make sense because I'm going to go over, I should have probably went over like how it actually works before, but I'll just do that now maybe. So basically what people do is put your fingers in, and you would go up and ask somebody, pick a color. They might say orange. So then you spell out the word. So it's O-R-A-N-G-E. And then it opens you up to some numbers. And then you tell them, pick a number. And so somebody might pick 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically you're opening up these your like kind of little mouth, just opening it up in opposite ways, the number of times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you would pick another number. So I have choose from 1, 8, 3, 5. So maybe I would choose then 1. So then if somebody chose number 1, you would open up that 1, and then you would theoretically have a fortune. So maybe I would be like, you will eat tacos tonight. Will eat tacos tonight. And that is one's fortune. Now, will they really eat tacos? Who knows? Maybe you've inspired them for dinner that evening. You never know. But you would have another fortune on the other half of of that. And so you would go around and basically do that. So each number would have a fortune associated with it. So you'd have to come up with basically 8 different fortunes for people to think. And you know, my friends and I would just love doing this. And we would, you know, like I said, if we, you know, had people we liked, we'd say like, oh, you know, you might want to pick number 4. Because number 4 might be like, oh my goodness, you will, you know, go out with so-and-so. Or this person will ask you to a dance, things like that. So they're a lot of fun. And maybe that's not your jam. Maybe you don't want to be telling fortunes to people. You can then just decorate it. And like I said, like a dragon or a lizard or whatever. You can put some like googly eyes up here, and like these can be like the ears. You can always like fold these into different funny ways. That's the fun thing about origami, that they can't, this especially, it doesn't have to be just one thing. But yeah, this is a fortune teller, or what others sometimes call a cootie catcher. I like fortune tellers because nobody wants cooties, right? We're above cooties here. So yeah, so this is fortune teller. I hope you have fun making it. So we have a little bit more time, and I think we should make something a little else something. So I'm gonna have us make. I did this on the earlier one, so maybe on the older one, just because I needed to fill a little bit more time. But this one's nice and quick and easy. I'm gonna have us do this little twirly bird. So I'm gonna we're gonna make this little twirly bird together, and in theory, kind of like a paper airplane, if you were to throw it. That was not a good. It's supposed to twirl. Maybe you might need a paper clip. I'm not really sure. Well, mine, I just threw mine. And it kind of went end over end. So, I'm not sure. In theory, it's supposed to. But then again, it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of like paper airplanes. Paper airplanes are just like another form of origami. And I feel like even after you thought, oh, this is like the best paper airplane, it's definitely going to go so far, and then it would nosedive, and you were so sad, and you're like, why? It was so aerodynamic. Although this looks pretty aerodynamic, I feel like. Pretty even. So I'm not sure, but we're going to make this just because it's like a nice, fun, and easy little origami guy. So you are going to need another piece of paper. And let me grab another piece of paper for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to my paper. I'm going to use this like fun origami paper I have. This is about an 8x8 paper. And the reason why it's considered like origami paper because one side has a print on it and the other side is white, which helps a lot when we're doing kind of more complex or more difficult origami paper folding, to know which side, like it just helps you kind of as a visual which side to fold on and which side not to fold on. So we are going to do this, and if you don't have origami paper, that's absolutely fine. What you could do is take, if you do the route that I did, what we did earlier, and making your just a white piece of paper or a colored piece of paper, and you can always just like put like W for like white, or just kind of mark it just so you know which side is the colored side, it's supposed to be the colored side, and which side is supposed to be the white side, just as a visual. But I'm going to use this because I think it's like really fun picture paper. So this is what we are needing to do. So like I said, this is 8x8, but you can do this really with any size. 8x8 inch. Let me clarify. It's 8x8 inch. And you can really do this with any size pieces of paper. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start out with our white side up. And just like our fortune teller, we are going to start out by creasing it by folding, taking the top corner and going down to our bottom corner. do, this one's always the toughest for me. Thinking you got it perfectly in the corner, and then you fold it, and your folds are off. But I think I did a pretty good job on this one. Okay, so I'm gonna crease it with a stick. And so we're gonna keep it like that. So I'm gonna turn it around. So it's easy for you. So we now have our triangle. We are keeping it as a triangle. We're not going to open it up. So we have our print side out. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically fold it in half. So we're taking this corner and folding it in half and meeting it up and lining it up with our other corner. Sometimes you have to kind of see how sometimes your paper doesn't want to bend on you, and you kind of might need to put your finger in there just to allow it to crease a little bit more easy. Okay. Nice. So basically you've turned a big triangle into a small triangle. And then what you are, actually, you want to open it back up. I forget. We're going to open it back up. And basically now we're going to fold this top corner with our triangle, and we're going to fold it down past our base. And you want to try and get it kind of in the middle. If it's not perfectly in the middle, that's totally fine. It's not a big deal. But what I'm actually going to do, and I'm going to crease this. The one downside about this printed paper, it's a little bit harder to see the creases in it, but I think you can see the crease okay. But what I'm actually going to do is, I'm gonna try and I'm gonna go bring it down a little bit, and then I'm gonna flip it over, just so that, because it's maybe hard to see, but you should be on yours. You should be able to see the crease from behind your triangle, and then the crease on the back side. So I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more on the back side. And what I'm going to do is just kind of line up the crease. You can, so that the crease is like a straight line. And so then you know that it's kind of straight across, so you don't have a wonky, it's not at an angle. And so then if you turn it back over and open it up, it should be pretty in the middle. Or at least, obviously in the middle as much as it can be. Oh my goodness. Video's all, there we go. It was all out of focus. But we want to turn it back onto the side that we folded our triangle down. So we have our triangle down. And then what we're going to do is basically we're going to fold this in half. And we just want to kind of line up. We're going to fold it in half. And that's where this nice crease in the middle comes into play, because if you fold it right on that crease, and if you look, it's easier because there's already a fold, and you're just reinforcing that fold. So we already did this fold, right? Yeah. And so now we're going to turn it, and we want to turn it so this is our base. You want to turn it so the base faces you. I'm going to keep it. It's right now. This is away from me. This base is away from me, but you want it so it's my body's over here, and I want this towards me. So not away from me. It's away from me now to help you out, but make sure it's towards you. And what we are going to do, we are going to basically, we're going to fold down. These are our wings. We're going to fold it down, and we're going to kind of pretend if you kind of see, we almost have a little triangle right here with this guy, and then almost a cut off rectangle. And we want to fold this down so that we have a straight line, basically where the corner of the triangle meets up with the rectangle, the cut off rectangle. So there's a couple ways to do this. I mean, you can kind of just eyeball it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think what's more important is that you kind of line up the edges, so the edge of her wing with this would be the body. You don't want it off like this. If you bring it in and kind of line it up with that edge, it's always good. So then we can make that nice crease, and then we can turn it around. and do the same. And then on the other side it's a lot easier because then you can almost, you know, line up the folds with the fold that you've already made, which makes it a little bit easier in terms of making a nice even fold. And then so now basically you're going to unfold it so you want them to be horizontal or basically straight across. And then you have your little bird. And it's supposed to tumble in circles. I misread that. Oh my goodness. So when you throw it, it's supposed to go head over like this. So that makes a little more sense. Let me see. It actually does. Yeah, it tumbles. It's supposed to be a tumbling bird where it goes kind of head over, for lack of a better phrase, head over tail with our bird. So yeah, this is our little twirl bird. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me today for our origami. I'm gonna move my camera up again so you can see me a little bit better. There we go. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today for our after school club. And this is our first week on Twitch, so that's pretty fun and exciting. So I hope you join us again next week or tomorrow, because we do this Monday through Thursday. And tomorrow is kind of our fun gaming day. And I'm going to be streaming the game. It's a puzzle game where you have to like figure out different puzzles. If you've ever seen or played with a puzzle box, it's kind of like that, only virtual. So I'm going to be streaming that tomorrow at 4 for about 45 minutes. So yeah, I hope you can join me again tomorrow and again next week, where we're going to be continuing on our origami theme. We're going to be doing different origami projects for the month of October. Next week we will do a couple of different boxes. Boxes are a little bit tricky because how you fold them is not that bad, but a lot of times it takes multiple pieces and then you have to fit them together. So it can be a little bit tricky, but they're fun and functional. So you can store things in them, so that's fun. So join us tomorrow, or next week, next Wednesday, to learn how to make some really fun origami boxes. Okay, I hope you have a good evening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.